Your mind is working at its best when you're paranoid. You explore every avenue and possibility of your situation at high speed with total clarity. Banksy. Welcome to the INTJ equation, a channel on typology and psychology from the lens of an unhealthy INTJ. I'll be your host, Jeff. Today, I'm going to take a little bit break from John Beebe's 8-function model and talk about personality disorders. So I'm going to start with cluster A personality disorders, which include paranoid personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and schizoid personality disorder. And I'll start with paranoid personality disorder, which I'll refer as PPD. So before I get into the content, please like, share, subscribe. Also, by this time, I should have my podcast up on other platforms in audio format. You can still watch them here in video format if that's what you prefer. But hopefully I'll be on Spotify, iTunes, Apple, Google Podcast, all those things. So go ahead and look out for that. Leave me a review. Follow me on there. Also, leave a comment below if you do struggle with PPD, or you know somebody who does struggle with paranoid personality disorder. I'd love to hear your experiences, possibly interview you and see what it's like for you. In this video, I'm also going to talk about how it affects INTJs. I think INTJs are fairly prone to this, and I think it's just shadow functions, which I'll explain later in the video, so stay tuned for that. So what is paranoid personality disorder? It is a cluster A personality disorder, like I said, and that is considered the odd eccentric personality disorders. Considered also on a continuum with schizophrenia. A lot of people think that you have a chance of developing schizophrenia later in life, but no one will diagnose you with a cluster A personality disorder and schizophrenia. You have a higher likelihood to develop one of these cluster A personality disorders if you have an immediate family member that's schizophrenic. So watch out for that. PPD, well, it makes you paranoid. And like other personality disorders, are very hard to treat. Cluster A and cluster B personality disorders, I think they lack the insight that there's something flawed about their personality, so they don't see anything wrong with them. Also, comorbidity is a huge issue, I think, with the DSM-5, which is the SJ Bible and psychological disorders and mental illnesses and personality disorders. Basically, you have to meet the criteria for all these things, and many of these, the symptoms overlap with other disorders. So you may have multiple disorders, or you may have a totally different disorder that's very similar to another one, and they're treating it totally the wrong way, which is very, very common that I see. I definitely have strong feelings about ADHD and PTSD and how they're often confused, and people with PTSD are treated like ADHD, like they have ADHD, and it's just a totally different way of treating them. I think that could be similar here. And you could also have one personality disorder and be comorbid and have other personality disorders. Like I have avoidant personality disorder, but like I said, INTJs, I think they show traits of paranoid personality disorder when they're unhealthy, and I think it's their shadow function, so I definitely have shown traits of PPD. And I also theorize myself that personality disorders and possibly mental illnesses are just the cognitive functions that are just distorted due to trauma and adverse effects growing up, so I think this is no different. So I'm going to go ahead and read off the criteria in the DSM-5 that you need to have in order to be diagnosed with paranoid personality disorder. Again, I'm not a mental health professional, and if you do struggle with this or any other personality disorder or mental illness, go see a professional. It's far from the best help there is out there, but it's better than nothing. So you have to meet 4 of the following of the 7 criteria that I'm about to read off. The first one is the person with PPD will believe others are using, lying to, or harming them without apparent evidence thereof. 2, they will have doubts about the loyalty and trustworthiness of others. 3, they will not confide in others due to belief that their confidence will be betrayed. 4, they will interrupt ambiguous and benign remarks as hurtful or threatening. 5, tend to hold grudges. 6, in the absence of objective evidence, believe their own reputation or character are being assailed by others. They will retaliate in some manner. 7, will be jealous and suspicious without cause at intimate partners or being unfaithful. Like I said, comorbidity is a huge issue in the DSM-5, and I think it's unhelpful in a lot of ways. PPD and other cluster A personality disorders are like schizophrenia, as mentioned before, and psychosis is often involved, but it's usually less intense and more brief. Personality disorders especially can be comorbid. Like I said, I have avoidant personality disorder, ABPD, and it's also comorbid with paranoid personality disorder, and I'm going to get into how it affects INTJs later. It's also very common to have major depressive disorder, which everybody and their mother is diagnosed with basically, and other personality disorder like borderline personality disorders and schizoid personality disorders, and also schizotypal. Usually the same clusters, there's a lot of comorbidity going on. How it affects INTJs. People with PPD are often seen as cold, autonomous, independent, stubborn, argumentative. Does that sound familiar at all? It is really common, like I said, for PPD to be associated with ABPD, and I think INTJs are prone to getting avoidant personality disorder if traumatized, which we often are just because we're so different. And a lot of these sound like really like any nemesis, any opposing personalities, where you're just paranoid about the intentions of others, you're paranoid about future outcomes, and you just don't want to take action. You jump to conclusions about people that they're going to betray you, that your spouse or your loved one is cheating on you, or that your coworkers are going to go behind your back and try to get you fired. I know that's been a real common experience with me as an INTJ, a very unhealthy INTJ. We'll just kind of jump to conclusions. We kind of think that we're egocentric, that everything revolves around us. We think people are always thinking and talking about us, but that's rarely the case. So we kind of think that people are going to jump to conclusions, throw us under the bus, but it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And we kind of make it true with our own attitudes and our own judgments and how we treat people. So be mindful of that and stop doing it if you can. I know it's hard and it takes a lot of practice, but you can do it, and it's something that I'm still working on today. Also, I think a lot of this is S-side demon, where we remember all the bad things that happened to us and what people have done to us in the past. So we assume that because other people have done this to us in the past, that others are going to do it to us. I mean, kids can be cruel. When we grow up, we're different, and we're often bullied or ostracized. Parents don't understand us and get frustrated with us because we kind of come off as brats because we're just all about what we want. We don't really care about other people's feelings. We care about how we feel. It's just how we are. And if we don't have somebody there to kind of assist us going through. Also, FE trickster, it makes us really unaware of social norms. We don't always know how to comfort people, and we can be very brash and try to rationalize our emotions and tell them to suck it up, basically, which is kind of hypocritical because we really just want people to empathize with us and kind of relate to us, but it's something that we rarely get. Thank you for watching this video on paranoid personality disorder. Like, share, subscribe if you found this content helpful. If you suffer from PPD or know somebody who does suffer from this or has traits of it, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. If you want to do a podcast, we could possibly arrange that. I definitely want to talk to people with personality disorders more. Also, you can find my podcast on other platforms such as Spotify and Apple and Google and all that good stuff. So go ahead and find that. Leave a review and follow that on whatever platform you choose. Thank you for going beyond a clickbait, and have a great day.